this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we are going to have our discussion on the upcoming full moon, which is going to be taking place on October 20th in the Aries sign, within Aries in the Ashwini Nakshatra. So friends, as you know this thing that whenever we talk about the time period of the full moon, it is a very important time because as you know that sun, which in itself is a significator of your solar ego, of your individuality, of your soul, and moon, which represents your subconsciousness, which represents your personality. So in the sky, in the transit, when sun and moon are polar opposite to each other, so this is the time when you can find yourself that there could be little bit of the disharmony which might be going within you. So because of which it becomes very important to all those people who have their natal moon in the water sign. You are a Cancer moon, Scorpio moon, or a Pisces moon, or your moon is conjunct with Saturn, or your moon is placed in 6th house, 8th house, 12th house, then you have to give additional care and attention to where you will be acting on your emotions, on your whims, or on your impulses. And friends, when we talk about specifically this full moon, upcoming full moon, it is also very important because it is going to be taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra. So whenever we talk about the Ashwini Nakshatra, it has a lot to do with healing. It has a lot to do with providing you the solution, bringing the rejuvenation, quickness in the results. So let's say for example, as you know that lately and now the planetary alignments is becoming harmonious, it is becoming better for all of us. Like for example, Jupiter is very soon on 18th of October is going to be coming out of its retrograde motion. Saturn is already out of it. Mars is also going to be coming out of its agitated sign placement of Virgo, and it is about to enter the Libra sign. So because of which the planetary transit is actually becoming favorable. So the point which I want to highlight over here is that, let's say for example, if you have been at the receiving end of any sort of wounds, any sort of crisis, any sort of perplexing situation, so this full moon can actually bring some new dawn, some new awareness, new kind of solution in your life. So I would say that the energies of Ashwini is very harmonious, very conducive for anything to do with your personality makeover, anything to do with going for a Reiki healing, going for any psychic consultation, visiting any place of worship. So these are few things which you can think about undertaking. And I would say friends, there was this one video which I watched a couple of months back. I guess it was a video by Dandapani. So where he said this thing that, let's say for example, if thoughts which also represents energy. So if your personality, like for example, your moon is conjunct with Rahu, or your moon is in the Rahu's nakshatra, and your personality is little bit obsessive, and majority of the times people who have got this compulsive nature or obsessive nature, the problem is that they do not keep on thinking over the good things. They keep on grinding over the past wounds or all the past hurt feelings. So I would say that in that video, Dandapani, he explained this practice that thoughts are also energy. So write it in a piece of paper and burn it, so that those negative, resentful feelings should stop bother you. So let's say for example, even if you want to follow this practice, so this full moon can be seen as a very good time period when a full moon is going to be taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra to get rid of all the negativity and head ahead in the life with positivity. Friends, I still remember, I guess it happened in the month of August. So what happened, the place where I work, there is a very good friend of mine. She is Colombian. So she is very religious as well. So she told me that, Nipun, I went to this church and I got a prophecy, and the prophecy which I received, the things and the circumstances in my life are actually happening in the similar lines. So she kept on asking me or insisting me to visit as well. So in the month of August, the full moon which took place, at that time moon was conjunct with Jupiter. So I do not know whether the gods or the divinity or the Jupiterian energy wanted me to receive the prophecy, wanted to communicate with me, but whatsoever the circumstances were. So because of her persistent persuasion, I went on that Sunday. It was my weekly off, and it was a time of the full moon. Moon was conjunct with Jupiter, and trust me, I was surprised and I was completely overwhelmed with the kind of accurate prophecy which I received in the form of whispering in my ears from the pastor of that church. So that was one of my experience. So I would say, friends, and I insist that full moon energy is a very ripe time for doing yoga, doing meditation, and taking out time to rekindle and re-establish your connection with the nature. So these are the few things which you can think about taking or doing during this time of full moon. And not only that, friends, Ashwini is a nakshatra which is being ruled by the planet Ketu. So Ketu right now is transiting in the Scorpio sign within the Anuradha nakshatra, Anuradha section of the Scorpio. And we all know that, friends, that Scorpio in itself is a sign of agitation. But within the turbulent waters of the Scorpio, Anuradha part is the most calm part. And not only that, it is the section of the devotion to the gods. It is actually the section of the devotion. So I would say that planetary alignment is actually going to be taking place in such a way that devotion and unconditional surrender to the divine can not only provide a solution to your ongoing turmoils, but also can completely transform your life by giving you a divine spiritual light. Because, friends, like the way I always say this thing, you cannot reach your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. So this is how you can see the energies influencing at the time of the upcoming full moon taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to talk little bit about this upcoming full moon taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra. Now we will try to look at customized to all the ascendants or moon sign briefly, that how this upcoming full moon's energy is going to be impacting you. So friends, starting with the Aries ascendant. So as you know, this thing that this full moon is going to be taking place right over there in your first house. So first house, which defines your personality, which defines your overall outlook towards the life. First house also has a lot to do with the health as well. And friends, as you know, this thing that Ashwini and the way the Ashwini Kumars, the presiding gods of the Ashwini Nakshatra, have been described in our Vedic text, is that they have got this much power that they can actually restore youthfulness in any person's life. Any of the matrimonial problems, any of the even problems connected with sexuality, or any of those concerns or problems, marital problems, disharmony can be resolved with the grace of the Ashwini Kumars who preside over this Ashwini Nakshatra. So I would say, friends, this is a very good time for you guys. In any case, you are very soon going to be Jupiter entering your 11th house. Saturn is also empowered in your 10th house. Mars is about to enter your 7th house. So a lot of positivity is in store for you. So I would say, take out time for doing yoga, doing meditation, and remain very consciously aware that what kind of thoughts are coming to your mind pertaining to your outlook and your course of life, like future plannings and all of that, specifically the goal setting. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Taurus ascendant natives. So friends, in your case, this full moon energy is going to be impacting your 12th house and the 6th house axis. So I would say, friends, 12th house has to do with the losses. And like the way I already said this thing at the beginning of this video, that the energy of full moon is all about making peace with all sort of things which might be coming to your subconsciousness. Because whatsoever happen in our life, whatsoever thoughts, even the wandering thoughts which comes to our mind, somehow there could be a reason that nature is trying to communicate with you. It's trying to actually inform you about something. So I would say, friends, it is a very good time for you guys, specifically if you have been reeling over, from some past wound, any sort of crisis, any sort of trauma, any sort of loss which you have endured in the past few months. So I would say the energy of this full moon is very positive for you to actually rejuvenate and get healed up. So I would say taking out time for any therapy session, doing yoga, doing meditation, long walks, establishing a connection with the nature, meditating on your Ishta Devta for the grace. So that could be seen as one of the probable way of channelizing the energy of this full moon. But I would say, friends, that on emotional level, you have to remain a bit cautious because the surge of the energy or the flow of energy might be a bit intense, specifically in your case, because it is going to be taking place in your 12th house. Moving ahead, friends, for all the Gemini ascendant natives, this full moon energy is going to be impacting, influencing your 11th house. So in your case specifically, let's say for example, you might have been facing some obstacles, some roadblocks in the path of your goals which you have already set, any sort of concerns or turmoils on the account of relationship or in your social network. So all of those problems can get resolved. The beauty of this Ashwini Nakshatra is that it is a solution provider nakshatra. So I would say that some good connection or some new epiphanies, some good advices from the people in your circle of influence can also manifest, can also come your way. The only thing which is required is that remaining very consciously aware about the thoughts which are coming to your mind, the development which is taking place in your social circle, because that could be a message from the divine, from the gods. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Cancer ascendant natives, so people who get strongly influenced by the full moon or the new moon energy to the most. So friends, in your case, this full moon energy is going to be impacting your 10th house of your actions, of your karma, of your deeds. So friends, as you know this thing that when we talk about the Ashwini Nakshatra, which has to do with solution providing, which has to do with the healing. So friends, just because it is going to be impacting your 10th house, so remain very consciously aware that what kind of development is going to be taking place in your work front. So let's say for example, sudden new role, new responsibilities. And I would say that friends, when we talk about any development from a celestial point of view, so let's say for example, if you get debunked at your work front by your bosses or even get criticized by your bosses, so take it in a positive light, because even behind all of those criticism, there might be something good hiding for you. And lastly, friends, like the way I already said this thing, that a full moon energy is bit intense on our emotional plane. So I would say remain very much devoted, dedicated to your work front, but you need to make a healthy balance. Like for example, when your energies are at its peak, utilize those energies for fulfilling your duties, doing your work. But when you feel yourself completely drained, it is not advisable to push yourself, rather to relax and rest. So that is a kind of balance which you have to maintain or manage at the peak of this full moon influence on the October 20th. Moving ahead, friends, for all the Leo ascendant natives, so friends, in your case, this full moon energy is going to be impacting your 9th house. So trust me friends, it is a very, very auspicious time for you guys to actually seek refuge in the religious austerities at the time of this full moon. So I would say that whomsoever your Ishta Devta is, whether because of your lifestyle, whether you are able to take out time to do prayers, do meditation, or visiting the place of religious significance or not, that is a different thing. But specifically during this full moon, it becomes very important for you to meditate on the divine. Whatsoever your religion is, basis that religion, whatsoever gesture you can offer towards your token of devotion to the gods becomes very important during this time of the full moon, because you never know that the voice of the divine actually could whisper in your ears as well, like the way it happened in my case when I went to that church for that prophecy. So I would say friends, like for example, any sort of meditation, any sort of prayers for you becomes very important. And in whichever sphere of life, if you are feeling yourself struck, so solution can come, divine intervention can actually and seriously take place for all of you guys. Moving ahead, friends, for all the Virgo ascendant natives, this full moon energy is going to be impacting your 8th house. So friends, try to understand this thing. 8th house is definitely a sensitive house. Whether your moon is placed here, full moon, new moon, any alignment taking place in the 8th house is always an intense time. But we cannot overlook this fact that 8th house is also a house of transformation as well. 8th house is the house of the transcendental wisdom, and at the end of the day, we all want to live long. So 8th house also provides us life force as well. So I would say friends, definitely to begin with, I would advise that keep your life bit simple. Do not stress yourself or exaggerate or overwhelm yourself with any sort of stressful activities, engagement, on the October 20th. The second thing which I want to advise to all the Virgo ascendant native is that, friends, as the way I have already said this thing, that whenever divine wants to interact with you, divine wants to communicate with you, nature wants to communicate with you, all of those communication can only happen either from the 8th house, from the 9th house, or from the 12th house. So I would say, friends, take out time for doing meditation, remain very much consciously aware regarding the development which is taking place in your life, because, friends, we cannot even overlook this fact that this time period when this for example, this full moon is taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra. Ashwini is a nakshatra which is being ruled by the planet Ketu, and Ketu in your case is transiting in the 3rd house, and it is transiting in the Anuradha Nakshatra. So devotion and unconditional surrender to the gods and divine can actually provide you solution to any turmoil which you might be going through. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Libra ascendant natives. So, friends, in your case, this full moon energy is going to be impacting your 7th house. So 7th house full moon is a little bit sensitive energy, specifically on the account of your public image, on the account of your matrimonial concerns. So I would say, friends, like the way I have already mentioned this thing at the beginning of this video, that the influence of the Ashwini Kumars, the Ashwini Nakshatra, is considered as very positive to find out the solution of any matrimonial turmoil, whether matrimonial concern, any of the concern of the potency, sexuality. So I would say, friends, this is a very positive time, or could be a very positive time for you if you have been going through any concerns in your matrimonial relationship. So the full moon can actually dawn upon some solution, some alternative course of handling all of those challenges which you might be facing through. And along with that, friends, try not to stress yourself with the opinion of other people, of the outside world, because whenever this kind of excess takes place, people get very much sensitive towards the public approval, public acceptance. So be at your best, and doing yoga, meditation, and reconciliation of your matrimonial concerns could be seen as a theme of this upcoming full moon for all the Libra ascendant natives. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Scorpio ascendant natives. So, friends, in your case, as you can fairly see, that this full moon is going to be impacting your 6th house. So, friends, like the way I have already mentioned this thing, the full moon is taking place in the Ketu's Nakshatra Ashwini, and Ketu is right sitting in your 1st house, in your ascendant. So I would say, friends, that first of all, to begin with, whatsoever challenges or turmoils which comes in the life of the Scorpio ascendant native, they by themselves are equipped and capable enough of handling all of those challenges, because your ascendant lord only has got the rulership of the 6th house. Now the second thing is that, friends, definitely Ashwini is a solution provider nakshatra. So if you have been going through any concerns on the account of your health, on the account of your finances, any of the concerns on the account of law related problems, so I would say meditating on Lord Ganesha during and at the peak of the full moon, which is taking place on October 20th, can actually provide you a solution to all of your ongoing problems. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Sagittarius ascendant natives. So, friends, in your case, this full moon is going to be impacting your 5th house. So, friends, it is a very positive time for any sort of devotional measures. Doing yoga, doing meditation can actually bring lot of clarity, intuition, inspiration, epiphanies could be seen as a theme of this full moon energy for all the Sagittarius ascendant natives. And also, friends, let's say, for example, if you are an artist, you are a creative person, so remain very consciously aware. I would say that I should not be saying this thing, but you can also think about putting in additional hours in your research, in any of your artistic creative endeavors, because the possibility is going to be very strong that divine intervention and some sort of a divine whisper can actually give you some sort of creative idea or some sort of clarity in any of your creative engagement. And I would also say, friends, that when we talk about 5th house related matters, which has also to do with the intellectual pursuit as well, devotional measures as well, so for any sort of academic, intellectual activities, anything to do with the devotional practices, this full moon energy can be seen as very positive. The only one thing which I want to warn people is that many times what happens is that when we feel emotionally agitated or highly strung or overwhelmed with the surge of the emotions, sometimes if your fifth house is afflicted, people take refuge in alcohol, intoxicants, all the hedonistic activities as well. So you need to make a healthy balance on what actually makes you feel complete, or what on surface is looking like to be a relieving thing, but it is actually at the end draining your energy. So that is a healthy balance which you have to make or maintain at the predomination of this full moon. Moving ahead, friends, for all the Capricorn ascendant natives, this full moon energy is going to be impacting your fourth house. So fourth house, which is the core of your emotions. So I would say, friends, the emotions, the feelings are definitely going to be very intense. It all comes down to what direction you're going to give to it. The second thing is that, friends, like let's say for example, in your domestic life, you might have been going through some problems, some turmoils. So solution can be attained, can be achieved only if you are open towards it. Like the way I always say this thing, who gets the idea? Only those who are seeking for it. So unless and until you are not putting efforts, nothing is going to manifest in the world. So what I'm trying to say over here is that all the domestic problem, turmoils, emotional concerns, wounds, any of the emotional turmoil which you might have been going through, meditating, contemplating on the divine devotional measures, practices, divine surrender can actually give you a solution at the predomination of this full moon taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra. Moving ahead, friends, for all the Aquarius ascendant natives, this full moon energy is going to be impacting or influencing your third house. So friends, as you know this thing, that third house which has to do with our relationship concerns, which has to do with our influence in the society, when we talk about taking initiative, working on new projects, that also has something to do with the third house. And as you know that this full moon is going to be taking place in the Ashwini Nakshatra, which in itself is seen as a solution provider nakshatra. So I would say, if you have been at the receiving end of all of your endeavors, are not reaping any result, or you are feeling yourself stuck in a deadlock situation, any of the concerns of the relationship, so in all of those matters, all of those concerns, solution can come, but only if you are seeking for it. So divine surrender, meditation, yoga can actually bring a refinement, a rejuvenation in all of the matters of your life. And lastly, friends, for all the Pisces ascendant natives, this full moon energy is going to be impacting or influencing your second house. So friends, as you know this thing, that second house also has to do with our financial, our earning capacity, and second house also tells about all the values which are dear to us, our childhood experience, all those people who are very close to us. So I would say that if you have been at a receiving end in all of these areas of life which I just mentioned, so meditating, contemplating on your Ish Devta, doing meditation can actually bring a refinement, can actually provide you a solution when full moon is going to be taking place in this Ashwini Nakshatra. Important is that, friends, whenever we talk about the second house full moon influence, it can actually exaggerate the financial situation. So let's say for example, if in your case you are going through a financial abundance state, so you might become a bit reckless in your spending. And let's say for example, if you are already going through financial scarcity, so you might start agitating because of the predomination of this full moon energy. So that is the only reason, friends, we watch these kind of videos, to remain forewarned that we should not get completely overwhelmed because of the surge of energies. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs for this upcoming full moon energy for all the ascendants. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.